My wife accidentally cheated after 33 years of marriage and begged for forgiveness, but I told her to pack her things and filed for divorce. We were married for 33 years. We have 2 children, 2 grandchildren whom we love madly. A bit of backstory. We met at a nightclub in the 80s where I worked as a bouncer. We went on a date. After 2 months, we moved in together, and after 2 years, we got married. Life was good. Work, entertainment, children. I changed from an active job to a sedentary one and gained a lot of weight. So much that I couldn't even finish intimacy because I would have asthma attacks. We tried different ways to revive our intimate life and always remain monogamous. I had been cheated on before, so infidelity was a line that couldn't be crossed for both of us. We loved each other and thought we would die together. 33 years of marriage is a long journey, but with each year I loved her more and more. After 20 years of marriage without intimacy, I decided to lose weight. Over 2 years, I lost 80 kilo and had abdominoplasty. I had 3 reasons for this. First, I wanted to see my grandchildren grow up. Second, for my health. And third, to bring passion back to the bedroom. And it worked. The last 2 years, we were intimate 3 to 4 times a week, and my wife enjoyed every second. I could see it. The body doesn't lie. We were enjoying life together again. She still said she loved me, and I reciprocated. I never cheated and knew she didn't either. At least that's what I thought. That was until recently. She went on vacation with her 2 sisters to another state. I didn't object. I trusted her. She knew that cheating was the end. Even after 33 years together, we had a relationship without secrets. We had tracking apps on our phones so we could know where each other was. It wasn't about control, but about safety. We didn't hide our phones. We had shared access to messages and email. Trust was never an issue. When I lost weight and started looking better, women began paying attention to me. But I ignored it all because I was happy in my marriage. My wife sometimes said she felt insecure because now I was the attractive one, while she, on the contrary, had gained weight. It didn't bother me. I loved her in any form. Every day I told her I loved her and how beautiful she was. Our intimacy was amazing. My only regret was that we hadn't tried to revive the passion earlier. That day I finished work and was driving home when my wife called, very upset, and asked if her sister had talked to me. I answered, "No." "Why?" And asked what happened, not expecting to hear what I heard. She said she had cheated on me, slept with another man. She begged me to forgive her, cried, said she didn't know what came over her. I was in shock. My heart was breaking. I sat in the car, numb, while she continued. She said that she and her sisters were drinking. A married couple joined them. They drank until 2 a.m. The sisters went to bed. The bar closed, and my wife, according to her drunk, went with that couple to their room to continue drinking and chatting. The husband and wife showered her with compliments, saying how sexy she was and how lucky I was. Then the man started hitting on her, and his wife encouraged them both. They said no one would know. Just enjoy yourself. She claimed it was as if it wasn't her. But she still slept with that man while his wife watched. In the morning she woke up in bed with both of them, jumped up and ran to her room. Her sister found her and heard everything. She said, "Either you tell your husband yourself, or I will." And so my wife called, in tears, begging for forgiveness. I was just numb. How could she throw our life in the trash like that? She sobbed, repeating how sorry she was, how she hated herself, how much she loved me, and what a terrible mistake she had made. I told her it wasn't a mistake, it was a decision. Then I hung up and turned off my phone. I came home and just sat in a chair, trying to understand what would happen now. I cried for the wife I had known all these years, for the woman I had spent my life with. I cried for our future that would no longer exist, because her decision would affect our family. My life, as I knew it, was over. For 2 days I completely cut myself off from the world, and then I turned my phone back on. Of course, there were hundreds of messages from her sisters. The last one was that she was coming home. The kids were also trying to contact me. Their mother called them, asking if I was okay, if I had contacted them. I called the kids and told them what happened. I said I was holding up as best I could, but was going to leave to come to terms with the end of the marriage before she returned. I asked them not to tell her where I was going. I needed to accept the end of the marriage. I just sent a message to my future ex-wife. We're getting divorced, and I don't want to know her anymore. I don't care about the details, and she herself doesn't matter to me anymore. The pain is unbearable. I never would have thought our love could collapse so quickly. First update. I might get a bit confused as too many thoughts are spinning in my head. A few clarifications. Our dead bedroom wasn't completely dead, but compared to the last 2 years, it was like night and day. My active job was in the Army until I got injured during exercises. After that, I was transferred to headquarters, and then the medical commission discharged me altogether, and my wife and I opened a small business together. Before talking to my wife, I had a long conversation with her sister and her husband. The story my wife told them was noticeably different from what she told me in her confession. The kids were shocked by what happened and just wanted to support me. I explained to them that no matter how angry they were at their mother, she still remained their mother and grandmother of their children. She loves them, and what she did to our marriage doesn't change that. My wife and her sisters cut short their vacation and returned home. I left my wife a note to pack her things and go to her mother's. She did, but the details turned out to be much worse than she had told. Although she confessed under threat that her sister would tell everything, she still lied. And not surprisingly, she later couldn't stand it and told her sister everything. I don't know what to believe myself until I talked to my wife face to face. According to her sister, the story was this. My wife says she loves me and our marriage. She never thought she was capable of such a thing. She blames our active sex life over the last 2 years for what happened. She says it awakened in her a desire to explore what was missing. She felt that she used to be the attractive one in the relationship, and now the roles had reversed, and it made her uncomfortable. She needed someone else to want her too. She swears it was the first time. She doesn't admit she planned it all. She just fulfilled a fantasy and wasn't going to tell me. As it turned out, the couple she slept with are our clients from another state. I hadn't met them, but my wife often talked to them on the phone. She went to drink with them, but her sisters tagged along, so they pretended to be strangers until they left. She was indeed drinking, but not to the point of blackout. All 3 planned this in advance, even before the trip. My wife is coming to talk this afternoon. Apparently, she's beside herself with fear. I already know what I'll do. She chose to cheat. Now everyone will have to live with the consequences of her decision. The truth about what happened only intensified my pain and my resolve. I didn't cheat. I didn't make her lie. She's right about one thing. She lost me and our marriage. And I don't care how bad she feels now. She did this herself. Now we all have to deal with the consequences. Our marriage is over. From now on, everyone goes their own way. And yes, thanks to those 99% who express support. It really helps. And to those who blame me, you probably have your own issues. Good luck with them. It turned out long, but once I started typing, I couldn't stop. Strange, but I felt better, as if I had talked it out. This will be my last update for a while. For those interested in how things turn out, I'll update in a few months. I talked to my wife yesterday. After so many years together, neither of us could sleep if the other wasn't there, and it had been like that for decades. But last night, for the first time in all this time, I slept really well without her. She came home, opened the door, looked terrible, sleep-deprived, guilty, scared, with dyed hair. Usually my heart would have exploded, and I would have tried to comfort her, but not this time. I was sitting at the table. She started crying again, rushed to me, muttering that she screwed everything up, that she was so sorry and so on. I raised my hand and said not to touch me, just sit down. She sat down. I asked if she wanted coffee. I was just about to make some for myself. She nodded. I made coffee, returned to the table. Her eyes didn't leave me. She started to say something, but I told her to shut up and just answer questions and listen. I told her it was over. She made her choice. Now I'm making mine. I had already made my decision, but wanted at least a little truth. I thought if she decided there was still a chance, she might be at least a little more honest. I said I had talked to her sister. True. And with that couple. A lie. Inside I had a strange feeling. I was simultaneously glad she felt so shitty and sad. I felt disappointment, anger, the whole spectrum of emotions, but at the same time remained absolutely calm. And that's what scared her most of all. Honestly, I felt like I was at a job interview. I asked how many times. She answered physically once, and twice more via video chat. I told her to explain how it all started. She said that during work conversations, everything turned into flirting. Then that man's wife said they were open to it and joined in herself. And a couple of months later, she was already watching that guy perform. My wife admitted she had always wanted to do this while another woman watched, and they agreed. When she told this, she cried and repeated that everything went too far, that she understood it was dangerous, and that's exactly what turned her on. She started saying she felt insecure, but I interrupted and said I didn't want to hear her fucking excuses and explanations. For about 5 minutes she pulled herself together. I even got up myself and handed her tissues. Then she said they met as agreed, and after the sisters left the bar, they immediately went to that couple's room. I asked if she was ever going to tell me, and she answered, no, it was just a fantasy she wanted to fulfill and never think about cheating again. I said that was bullshit and asked if she had cheated during all 33 years. She said no. I said it didn't matter now. Cheated once or 1,000 times. The result is the same. The only one she'll hurt if she continues to lie is our children and her relationship with them and the grandchildren. I said I didn't believe her, but now it doesn't matter. At that moment she began to understand that I wasn't going to work on the marriage after her infidelity. She begged for a chance, promised to fix everything, said she would do anything, would let me cheat if only I stayed. She swore it would never happen again. I told her to listen to herself. She had already humiliated herself enough. I would never cheat in marriage. And if I did sleep with another woman, it would mean we had broken up with no chance of reconciliation. And that's the last thing I'm thinking about. She reached to take my hand, but I said I would never touch her again. Not that I judge other people's relationships. That's everyone's business. I understand that people have affairs, open marriages, and so on. But the point is, we didn't have that. All trust and respect collapsed when she planned to have another man's dick inside. Her. I've always been pragmatic, and at that moment I felt relief. I said we needed to do everything as calmly as possible. She took this as hope for reconciliation, but I immediately cut her off. No, it's over. I'll never touch you again. And that's exactly what I mean. I won't be able to forget that you fucked another man. The woman I loved and married is gone. She died the moment you not only slept with another, but planned it in advance. All the good memories will remain. Vacations, how we built our first house, how we raised the kids, how we laughed together. All of this is now just memory. We'll have different lives, and I honestly look forward to what comes next. Only you won't be there. When I meet a new woman, I hope to start creating new memories with her. She was shaking and crying when I said this, but it no longer touched me. I just wanted this woman to get out of my house. She couldn't continue the conversation, and I went to the shed, called the kids while she was pulling herself together, told them what happened. They supported me and said not to drag it out, just end it all. I returned to the house, and as soon as I entered, she started her routine again. Sorry, we can fix everything. I sat down and said, we're selling the house and business, splitting everything in half. Keep the car, and I'll take the truck and motorcycle. You can take the cats. Then I said not to call, not to write, and not to contact me at all unless it's about the kids or grandchildren. I'll contact lawyers and start the divorce process. Now she's a free woman and can sleep with whoever she wants. She replied that she didn't want anyone and that I was cold and emotionless. I said I was just being honest, and her actions left me in an emotional void. I said that only she was to blame for destroying our marriage. I loved her, and she ruined everything. After that, I left so she could calmly pack her things. I went to my daughter's, talked to her, played with my granddaughter. When I returned home, my wife was already gone. And as I said, I slept that night better than ever without her. Now it remains to see what happens in 6 months. Second update 5. Crazy weeks have passed since my future ex-wife threw our marriage in the trash. I've had enough time to think it all through, and I'm still sure I did the right thing. I could never trust her again, could never touch her again. Honestly, I'm sick to my stomach at the thought of it. She herself decided to cheat and destroy our marriage simply because she thought she could get away with it. She's still living at her mother's, and I've been dealing with the house, preparing it for sale. We lived in it for 20 years, so a lot of junk accumulated. But I sorted everything out, and the house is up for sale. There are already a couple of interested buyers. I hope to sell within a week or two. The business is already sold. One of our clients wanted to expand, and I accepted his offer last week. The deal will be completed in about a month. Everyone's heard that divorce is hell, but I now understand how much. By law, we need to live separately for 12 months, and one day before we can file for divorce. Then another 4 months until it takes effect. And that's if there are no disputes. Property division is processed separately and only after the divorce. I'm not going to leave anything in common by that time. As soon as she continues to sign all the papers, it will be much easier for me to move on, but her mindset is completely different. My son talked to her only once, and apparently the conversation was unpleasant. To be clear, my children are adults with their own families. I told him that time was needed, but she's still his mother and was a good mother, not letting her action destroy their relationship. My daughter, on the contrary, keeps in touch with her. She's ashamed of her mother, but she's helping her get through the divorce. At the same time, my daughter is straightforward and spares no one. She tells it like it is and doesn't hide the consequences of what her mother did. But my future ex is living in delusions. She thinks I'll calm down and forgive her. She believes that the years lived together will make me change my mind. When she came to sign the papers for the sale of the house, she said I would still change my decision, that I still love her, that she'll become the best wife when I realize it, and that we'll still grow old together. And this story is just a bump in the road that we'll overcome. I was dumbfounded. I just looked at her and said she was crazy if she thought that. She lied and cheated in the most disgusting way. Another man was inside her while his own wife watched. How the hell could I ever want to touch her again? She said she knew she shouldn't have done it, that she didn't understand what she was doing, that it wasn't even that good. I told her to shut up because I didn't want to know whether she liked it or not. That's not the point. The point is, she did it anyway. I said we had zero chance of reconciliation. I don't want anything to do with her. I look forward to when I can finally start life without her. I think she's in complete denial of what's happening. She no longer has any control over me and has no right to interfere after she destroyed everything herself with her scheming and cheating in a loving marriage. All of this happened solely because of her actions. She knew what she was risking before she did what she did. So she can't be naive enough to pretend nothing is happening. Funny, but now I'm getting quite a bit of attention from other women. Right now, I don't need it at all. I'm not looking for any relationships, but it's nice to know that someday, if I want to, I'll have a big choice. My future ex even got angry when she found out that female acquaintances were stopping by just to check on me, bring dinner, chat. She said she wanted me to let off steam and she would wait for me. God, how naive she is. Emotions are still raging. Hatred, anger, disgust, sense of loss, betrayal, and sadness. But I'm a strong person. I'll cope. Right now, my goal is to finally get rid of any financial ties with her and move on with life without her. Third update. 3 months have passed. The divorce is still ahead, but a lot has already been done. The business is sold, the house is sold, legally we've separated. It only remains to wait for the divorce term. Essentially, I've already completely divided all common property and am starting a new life. I never would have thought I'd find myself in this position. 3 months ago, I had the life I dreamed of. A loving wife, my own business, wonderful family and friends, a cozy home. I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with my wife. And then my future ex screwed everything up for herself and our family by lying, betraying, and cheating. Yes, we had problems like any couple with a long marriage, but we always remained faithful to each other. When she got caught, it destroyed me. The loss of our life together was devastating. I couldn't understand why she did it, but it was at that moment my life changed. It wasn't my decision, but hers. I'm a pragmatic person. Always put family first. Perhaps that's what helped me get through everything easier. I decided not to let emotions turn me into a victim and not to feel sorry for myself. It's pointless. After selling the house and business, my future ex and I split everything in half. I bought 2 small apartments near my grandchildren. My son and daughter live in different states with their families. I arranged it so I had my own space, but at the same time, I could visit them. I'm working again. A former competitor offered me part-time work, and I agreed. This leaves me a lot of free time to start enjoying life again. For a couple of weeks, I just rode my motorcycle aimlessly. I'd stop for coffee, look at something interesting. In the evening, I'd stop at a pub, have a couple of beers, and continue on the next day. I was surprised by all this free format of communication with women. I admit, I like it. During these 2 weeks, I slept with a couple of women, without expectations, without feelings, just intimacy and fun, without emotional baggage. And honestly, I'm amazed at how good I feel. Some asked if I contacted that couple my wife cheated with. No, I don't see the point and have no desire whatsoever. It was my wife's decision, not theirs. I don't want anything to do with them. They're nobody to me. Honestly, The best revenge on a cheater is indifference and moving on with life. Of course, sometimes you remember what happened, but life goes on. The main thing is to focus on yourself. My future ex apparently still lives in delusions and thinks that when I cool down and get tired of living without her, I'll take her back. I clearly and unequivocally said, our marriage is over with not the slightest chance of reconciliation. I also said that I absolutely don't care now what she does and with whom. It no longer has anything to do with me, just as everything I do now has nothing to do with her. My daughter said her mother is still in denial. She's ashamed and hurt by what she did, and she asked my daughter to convince me to come back. I said that would never happen. She's not ashamed of the act. She's ashamed that she got caught and that I actually left and didn't forgive her. Life is now completely different from what I expected. But honestly, for the first time in a long time, I look forward to the future.